Hello, good evening. I'm Oluwakemi Joanne Anfuoshi. Tonight, we'll be having a conversation on overcoming fears, overcoming the fears of abandonment and building lasting relationship. But for the sake of tonight, we would be dwelling on overcoming the fear of abandonment. We understand that our childhood experiences create our stories, and our stories resonate throughout our lives. Our moms, your dad, caregivers, peers may have frequently or been long time away, and probably they have been with you inconsistently or unpredictable. They've loved you unconditionally, they were disconnected, they have left you alone or moved away, or ultimately even died. Or probably even grew up in a foster home. You have had parents that were abusive, addicted to alcohol, struggled with mental disorder, or were well or ill-equipped to handle raising a child. Whatever your experience may be, tonight we're discussing how to overcome the fear of abandonment. And joining me tonight to be having this conversation is Mr. Oluwambe Pelumi.
Yes, that's my name. So we will be talking about how you as an individual can overcome the fear of abandonment and how you can build a loving and lasting relationships. That is very important. And, being lonely is not good enough. Feeling dejected, feeling rejected is not good enough. Feeling nobody is concerned about you is not good enough. And we can fix all this. That is why we are having this conversation with you. Let us fix all these relationship problems and we forge ahead to a beautiful and more colorful future together. Now, let me quickly talk about different kind of attachment. Do I go forward or I should allow you?
Okay, before we go forward, it will even be very good for us to establish some backgrounds.
Absolutely.
That there are some things that for everything we see in this life, they must have a root. Someone doesn't just grow up and then start getting scared of being left alone. They at a point must have been something that's happened. So, for everyone that is feeling this, that has this feeling of abandonment, probably you are thinking that one day someone will wake up one time and then probably leave you alone. These are as a result of some factors, probably environmental factors, or even some biological factors that may have contributed to what you are feeling.
Absolutely.
So for everything to begin to start, or to begin to what's the fact of causing why you feel this way. So I would like you to also share, we have some factors such as attachment, such as temperament. So I want you to talk about the attachment part. Why would a child grow up and then start feeling this way?
Absolutely. Thank you, Luaken. All right. All of us are coming from a journey. We didn't just land or landed where we are. We are from a past. Yeah, the past is not totally gone. Absolutely. The past is not totally gone. Your financial plan, your health plan, and even what you had when you were in school. To put everything in your CV, that is to show you that you are still very much with your past. And then we are not talking about immediate past. We are taking you back to when you are not even aware of yourself. And let me quickly, bring you into the loop of what I'm trying to pass across to you. There are several attachment styles, and all of these were actually things that you gathered from your childhood. And during your formative years, you gathered all these attachment styles. There are few of them that we are going to be touching today. We are going to be touching secure attachment. Thank you. We are going to be touching secure attachment, avoidant attachment, and ambivalent attachment. So I am going to talk briefly on this. Please leave that on the screen while we talk about this. Um, quickly, let me talk about secure attachment. A secure attachment is a style for a child, is a kind of upbringing that a child has that is reflecting the following. When you have a secure attachment, these are the things that happen in your life. So as we talk about this, I want you to be reflecting on yourself. And if you happen to not fall into any of this group, then you are a Superman. Then you can help another person get it right. All right. When a child seeks out the caregiver for comfort when a situation is distressing, because she knows that a caregiver will comfort her and make her feel better. We all have people like that in our lives when we're very young. People that you are so sure that when they see you, for example, they will say things like, Kemo, hey, Kemo, you look so beautiful today. Do you know you are an angel? You can always predict such a person that, okay, and you are kind of always looking forward to see that kind of person because you are so sure that when he sees you, he's going to say, wow, Kemo, how are you doing? You know, you are an angel. And I have few, people in my life, even at the moment, I just love to pump that hope in them. I just love to pump that their beauty in them because people are not actually aware of how beautiful they are. In fact, the most beautiful people on earth are trapped in insecurity complex.
Very true.
Limiting factors that usually limit the way you see yourself. So they have to do everything, different kind of surgery to unveil those beauties that they feel they are not there. But really, as that fellow is natural, or the natural person of that fellow is actually beautiful. But when we see some of our movie stars and they are doing some surgery, some plastic surgery, we feel, well, what is she looking for? She's already beautiful. That is to tell you that most beautiful people do not know that they are beautiful. And we need to catch them young. And those that are suffering from a kind of, loneliness, insecurity, it is from childhood. So we can treat it. And the reason why we are doing this is we want to take you back to where it all began. So we can hold ourselves and fix all that needs to be fixed. Again, the child is confident when a caregiver is always available to her. The same thing we are talking about, the caregiver is always available. So that child is confident. He or she is not even afraid of being lonely. That child grows up being confident that, yeah, I will always be taken care of. That is secure attachment. One more around that. The child is upset when the caregiver leaves the child. We are talking about secure attachment. But that upset is going to just last for a moment because that person is very, very, very consistent on showing love to that little one. In this situation, the child cannot consistently rely on a caregiver for connection, safety, and security. The child can be hungry towards, that caregiver for a moment. But as soon as that caregiver returns, you can be sure that that child will always bounce back to that level of assurance that she had. So that is secure attachment. There is normal upset when a caregiver leaves the child, but the caregiver is a consistent physically and emotionally present in the child's life, exactly what I just talked about. The child is aware and is fully confident that, oh, anytime I see this uncle, he is going to say, Kemo, how are you doing? There are times that he will help you make your hair. So you are so sure. So those child that grew up in that manner, they grow up with great confidence. Next to that is avoidant attachment. This is crazy, and caregivers must pay attention to this. And if you're already an adult, this might be the reason why you're feeling insecure sometimes when someone tells you he loves you. Let's quickly go through that. The avoidant attached child experiences a primary caregiver who is rejecting and at times harsh. As a result, the child depends less on her caregiver as a secure base. We have that mechanism which we always used to secure ourselves. We didn't get it now. It has always been there.
Yeah.
It has always been there. So you developed those mechanisms as a child, and whether good news, whether bad news, that mechanism is still there. Even you are with the best set of people, you are still feeling insecure with them. So we are going to help you through that in this journey. The journey is not going to be end today, actually. So it's a journey that we are going to travel through for a few weeks. Now, again, how do you know when you are suffering from avoidant attachments? That means when you were a child, at times, the caregiver is aggressive when you are alone with that caregiver. But when the caregiver is, before your parents or before, people that are in charge of you fully, she's always pretending or he's always pretending. But alone with that caregiver is always harsh, repulsive, aggressive, and you have no opinion when you are with such caregiver. The child that's suffering from that avoidance attachment always show no interest in the caregiver when he or she returns, even though the child was distressed when the caregiver left. Now there is a strange bonding between that caregiver that is not pleasant. We are going to touch something very strategic now. Even though the caregiver is always maltreating that child, because the child has discovered or has come to terms that, okay, I cannot survive without this caregiver, because, children are created to rely on, a caregiver, an adult, for survival. If you leave them alone, the unfortunate will happen. So they are created to rely on us as adults. Now, if a caregiver is harsh, is very, very unpleasant towards a child, what happens is that the child is going to develop a mechanism to deal with such a person. And it is funny how this whole thing will play out, that when the caregiver, the harsh, maybe I should use wicked caregiver is no more around, the child is feeling that, okay, there is still a vacuum that is, left unoccupied. Now, let me quickly bring that to now. If you are married and your husband is beating you, and sometimes you have seen life gone out of yourself, when you come back to your consciousness, people asking what is going on, you still say, no, nothing happened. I love my husband. It's because I missed it. I am the fault. I am the one that is not understanding him. He's been correcting me. No, that a man is your husband doesn't give him any right to beat you. So if you are still feeling a very strong attachment to that man, this must have been your reality. Perhaps this must have been your reality. You are used to people, being harsh to you. And because you are used to it as a child, you develop that mechanism to just feel, okay, maybe that is what I choose. I really do not like to hear such. Now, quickly, because we are time bound, ambivalent attachment, that talks about uncertain, that talks about unsure attachment, ambivalent. The ambivalent attachment child is raised by a caregiver who is inconsistent and creates a chaotic environment for the child. The caregiver is very, very inconsistent. The child cannot trust that person. Now, a child that suffers from these are the reflections, or these are the things that you see. That child is overtly anxious. That child is, always clinging and demanding in the home environment. He wants more, or she wants more from the parent, but the parents will not understand. They do not understand what the child is going through. Sometimes somebody mistreats your child and threatening your child on top of that, that if you tell your parents, I'm going to kill you, some of our girl child have been molested, raped, and a threat of death followed. So that person always wants to be with mommy. So if mommy is not around, he's always asking, mommy, when are you coming? When are you coming? Hey, I just left home now. Mommy, when are you coming? Mommy should relax. Try to understand that level of anxiousness in your child. If it is unnatural, please take note of it and act fast before what is good becomes, or what is sweet becomes sour. When a child suffers that or is going through that, you discover that that child is upset when the caregiver leaves and wants the caregiver desperately when he or she returns, even though the child is inconsolable. This child experiences a great deal of anxiety and is frequently overwhelmed by her anxious feelings when she is separated from her caregiver. Okay, children who receive the most consistent positive care are able to develop stable self-reliance combined with a trust in others. The stability in the quality of the caregiver-child relationship is related to the stability in the child's general adaptability, including a relationship to others. That is, whatever is going on in the life of the child is always going to reflect. Do not take their silence for gentility always. Let us engage our children. And this is not for children. This is for you adults. In case you fall into any of these theory, there is solution for you. What you expected from a caregiver, the level of trust that your parents entrusted in a caregiver, was betrayed. And you are the only one that is aware of that, because that uncle is still walking around, gallivanting around, still, visit you anytime. But you are the only one knows the level of destruction or pain that person has caused you. This evening and going forward, we are going to be, talking to you and talking with you, and our lines are open. You can send us mail if there is anything personal you'd love to share with us for us to measure our progress in all this.
Yeah.
Basic safety is a key component for the development of a secure attachment for anyone at any stage. Basic safety is a key component for the development of a secure attachment for anyone at every stage. Every one of us needs to feel secured. You agree with me. You deserve to feel secured. So these are theory attachments by. Let me just conclude quickly on that. Every stressful situation is a life-threatening crisis to the insecure attached child. So if you are unable to give it to yourself, going back to children, let's make sure we create a safe environment for our children. And then you, even as an adult, if you feel unsafe in relationship, if you are afraid of fear of abandonment, this is for you. Share the news with your people as we go further. Tell me, over to you.
Okay, thank you so much, PLM. See, I was just listening to you as though, all these things are really strange. Before we PLM spoke, I established the fact that, for everyone that is going through this abandonment stuff, that you feel that, okay, if this person leaves my life, it's as though I will not leave, I will not be, I will not be able to live again. It's a function of, our environmental factor, and also that's the nature, that's the nurture. Like what PLM just spoke about is the way you were nurtured, is the way your parents or probably your caregiver probably acted with you when you were small. For every deformed adult you see, they didn't just become deformed when they they had a find it, from their temperament is also one of the constituents of what can lead to the fear of abandonment. Temperament, it involves how you your experiences with others and the world around you. That's what temperament is about. There's something called BPD. It is borderline personality disorder. It helps you to be sensitive to your environment more than someone that doesn't have it. So aside the way you were nurtured, aside the way your caregiver took care of you, there's also this genetic. I'm a geneticist, so it's fitting my body that I'm talking about this. It also boils down to the genetic contribution that has affected you. So it's possible that some people are more sensitive to their environment than the other people. So your sensitivity to your environment helps you to be over. Sometimes it's good because you're able to sense danger, you're able to sense any unnecessary attachment or something, able to understand it. But the danger in it is that sometimes because of your eye sensitivity, you get overwhelmed. Sometimes someone is not leaving you, but because you feel that you started overthinking. You started thinking, oh, what if I go all out for this person? Yeah. What if he leaves me alone? What if, many of us are more sensitive than ourselves. Many of us, we overthink more than the other. We are really sensitive to, maybe you call a person and the person doesn't pick up. You don't know if the person is busy or person's at work or the person is sleeping. You have given the person 50 missed calls because you are scared that, what if this person leaves me alone again? So those things, aside the way we are being nurtured, our temperament, our genetic makeup can also constitute to it. So probably you find yourself that, okay, all PLM spoke about, you find that you had a secure attachment when growing up. Do you have the avoidant attachment? Do you have the ambivalent attachment? Probably your own, you have this BPD, that's borderline personality disorder. Probably that's what is wrong. So it's good that we are able to identify those things. And maybe thinking these things, after all, it's just good that for you to be able to solve a particular problem, there's a need for you to take a step backward, because for everything will become in life, for every of our attitudes, for everything will be, even when we really, really grow up, our childhood has a way of, affecting it. A child that was given birth to or nurtured by abusive parents, you see that today the father comes in, tomorrow is not around. Today you're attached to your father, tomorrow is not there. You grow up with this sense of that, every man you come across will leave you alone. So when you actually see a genuine man, because of your borderline personality disorder, instead of thinking, oh, what if, because you've seen a bit of what your father has done to your mother, or your mother is the one that, every time you want to come, ladies, especially this girl child, it's the way they get attached to their moms that, okay, I want to be with you and all that. And, well, please leave me alone, Jerry. And every time the mother keeps telling you to leave her alone every time. You grew up thinking that, everyone you love will always ask you to leave them alone. And as Philip was saying, it was like, we will now get to build a wall around ourselves that we now depend our lives on them. Even though they're hurting us, we want to still stay there because we believe that if they leave us, there's a vacuum. So we are going to begin to deal with those abuses. That's why you see someone that a parent leaves her in the hand of her uncle, but because the parents are always traveling, they don't have time. But this uncle is consistently abusing her. But because the uncle is the one that has filled the vacuum of the parents, even though what she's going through, she doesn't like it. But because she doesn't want to be left alone. So she found a mechanism around that uncle that will make her live with him. So even that saw children, when that uncle is getting married, they feel as if they've been betrayed.
Yeah.
So it's for every, we're talking about parenting the other time. I think it boils down to, for people that have children, young children, it boils down to your sensitivity towards how you see your children. Don't just say, this child is too clingy, this child is too this. Those things are things we should begin to deal with even as they are small, while they are small. Because any child that is a deformed adult was not properly nurtured as a child. So PLM, let me just allow you to say some other things.
Absolutely. We can't overemphasize each of these points. You know, when you were talking, my mind went back to what a very dear friend told about his elder sister, how the woman was subjected to abuse for several years. This great friend of mine, you know, is a legal practitioner, was shouting to the big sister that, please, in fact, the big sister, he referred to the big sister as his mom. They were very, very close because the age distance between them was much. So he kept on telling the big sis that, please leave this man, leave this man. Let me shock you. That man killed this woman eventually. The
Yes,
family just told him.
I said yes, that's what will eventually happen, because you know those people, they feel as though even if you are telling them, they make you an enemy. That no, he doesn't want me to stay my husband's house, so doesn't want me to do this one. No, you know, understand? Because they feel that this is who they love, this is who can accept them for who they are. You know, most of all these abusers, you know, we're not talking about abusing to the abusive relationship to them, but you know, it's really it's interwoven we are talking about. They make these people feel like they are less of themselves, that who can marry you. I see that doing them a favor by staying with them after your parents are bad, they left you alone and they asked you to take care of you. So a child grows up with that mentality that, oh, this is the only person that loves me in this life. So this is the way he or she can, you know, love me. So they grow up with such type of mentality about love. As if love must be painful, love must be wicked to them. So sometimes if they find somebody that is very good to them, they are questioning that this person wants something more, because they are already used to this type of love.
Absolutely. Kemi, maybe you can help me interpret this in English. Hell,
this is a serious matter. Okay, literally means that, you know, before the gold we see, before it becomes what we see, because gold is always in a crude state, it must have gone through fire before it becomes this beautiful.
Absolutely. You know, these are words that are keeping these people in their husband's house. That you know, and see, we are saying this because your life is very precious. If it is not precious to you, it is precious to your children. It is precious to us. That is why we have to engage you in this. I know the person we are talking to is listening to us right now. Don't just wave it off that, no, they are not talking to me. See, you have been, you know, trying to suppress this truth or this fact, going to churches and fasting, and these problems are persisting. It is high time you understand that our life, we are spiritual, so we need those spiritual exercises, your fasting, whatever you are doing, you need them. Then we are again a logical human being. We have brain, we have soul, we have a will, you have emotion. So these are part of you. If maybe Kemi has met somebody that doesn't have emotion, have you?
No, I've not. I haven't met anyone like that.
Oh, yes. So there is nobody without emotion. So our emotion is part of our life. So those toxic behavior that you are experiencing and expressing as an individual, we need to take a serious look at those things, because really, you may think, oh, just leave me, let me live my life. Yes, you are living your life, but you are hurting those that love you around you.
Yeah. You know, I think it reminds me of PLM. It reminds me of a friend of mine. She was telling me about the story of herself when she was in school. So there is this, she knows how to sing and all of that. So there is this other friend that cannot sing. So many people always come to her and like, oh, this girl, let me give her a name. Her name is Ngozi. Okay, everybody comes and then they celebrate her. These are friends because this is the only friend she has in school. Like literally, she has acquaintances, but this is like a very close friend. So when they get to the hostel, it's not as if he sang very well like that too. It's just that maybe they don't heard people sing very well before. So it's not, you're actually good, but not that good as much as they're saying. She because this was the only person that she could resonate with. This was her only friend. So she started living with that okay, when she now wants to do, maybe she wants to sing now, she will not want to sing because she doesn't want her friend to feel bad. She will not want to sing because her friend will see her, because she doesn't want her friend to leave her. So friend not trusting her that anytime they come and listen, like adults. So I think the friend has a deformed childhood one. So even that other lady too, she's not imposing that on her. She's scared that people would take this her friend that can sing away from her. So by the way she can do it is by belittling her and making her see herself less. So this other person, to be cautious, not other friends, she was thinking that if she goes all out again, this my only friend will leave me alone. So they are now in the cycle of I don't want you to leave me alone. Do you understand? So it's not just about marriage, even in friendship self. There's this feeling
Absolutely.
of if I outdo my friend, she will leave me alone. So you not live up to the maximum potential. You are thinking, she cannot do this one. So if I do that, she'll be angry with me. She will leave me alone. Any friend or any relationship that's not helping you to live up to your maximum potential is for you. Absolutely. If you are scared that your husband will feel, or your friend or your parents are talking you down, abusing you, because it will not help up to your best potential, the highest maximum potential. So those relationships are not healthy.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, PLM, because I don't want us to take so much time tonight. I want you to continue. So
absolutely. So, understanding core beliefs. Let's quickly go there. Your infant, childhood, and adolescent experience imprint and create what we call schema. And a schema is a core belief. Your schema is your logic. Your schema is your philosophy. And it is your logic and your philosophy that creates your worldview. Your schema, which is your core belief, things you just believe in. Now, let me quickly bring that close to you. When you are behaving funny and everybody around you is concerned and they're saying, what is going on? You're just saying, this is me. Please, you people should just leave me. Let me be myself. Sorry. A bitter you is not you.
Yeah.
A depressed person, a depressed you is not you. Don't allow depression for a second. It kills creativity. Don't allow, negative vibes for a second. It kills creativity. So when people are trying to help you, asking you what is going on, if you cannot open up to them, please find someone that can help you to open up to. Don't forget, I am talking about schema. The schema is spelled SCHEMA, and that is in other words, referred to as core belief. Things that you have come to discover that this is me. Now, life is in, if it's not white, red, it's black. If it is not a boy, it's a girl. If it's not this, is that. So you have to deal with it if yours is on the negative. Now, your schema is a framework that helps organize and make sense of information and things around you. That is your worldview, your logic. No, not your worldview yet, your logic, your philosophy, which is now expressed as a worldview. It makes you kind of judgmental. So you just meeting somebody for the first time and you are saying that person must be a good liar or maybe be a good liar. No, you have not met this person. Every individual you meet on your way are unique. So even though somebody that looks like someone jilted you long ago, that you are meeting another person that looks like someone that jilted you, doesn't mean the new person you just met or you are meeting is going to hurt you again. So we all have core beliefs. We all have, there is no human being that doesn't have that. and we carry them into adulthood, and they guide our beliefs about ourselves, other, and the words. So this, your core belief, this your schema is what, shape the way you relate with the world. It helps you relate with it. Forgive my laughter. So many people in Africa, so many people in Nigeria specifically, don't know how to respond to pure love. Why? Because of the way they grew up. You brought that insecurity from childhood into adulthood. That when somebody is trying to show you real love, you are so afraid. See, I know ladies, plural, ladies that left a gentle guy because they felt, wow, this guy is too good. It's too good. It's too good for me. It's too perfect for me. So that is because of your schema. That is because of the way you have been programmed to see life. Now, we are going through this. You might have been programmed, but it is time you pause and you start reprogramming yourself. So this is going to help you and help us, help both of us to embark on a reprogramming journey. You deserve the best. See, you deserve any man if you are a lady. That people are letting you down doesn't mean that is who you are. That doesn't mean that is your fate. Fate. That doesn't mean that is your fate. Your schema can be a time saver because they assist us in, analyzing or assessing situation. Because you've been there, you've dealt with this person, okay, quickly. Kemi is a very, very wonderful communicator. She has been doing podcasts, and I always enjoy her podcast. There is one experience she shared on how some guys hypnotized her.
PLM.
Now, okay, I won't go there. If you want to see that, please find a way to link Kemi's podcast and listen to some of our gist. Now, the podcast is called Gist with Oja, OJA. Okay, Kemi, now this is to you. If some guys come to you the way those guys came, do you think that thing will happen again?
Absolutely not.
Fantastic. That is because your schema, you have gathered an experience, and that experience is informing the reality that is standing and staring at you. So you won't even listen to them. If somebody is saying, hello, sis, please, we have a lot of them in Ibadan and Lagos State. Please, how can I get to this place? In fact, immediately they say, excuse me, you move. Because a lot of them cannot be trusted, and some can be trusted. So your spirit is very active. Our spirit is very active. When you see the right people, your schema, your logic, what you have gathered over time will help you in judging that particular situation. Now, your core belief, that is your schema, your core belief, what you have called yourself. But sweethearts, everywhere in the world, wherever you are hearing me, if your own schema is negative, I am telling you, that is not you. That is not correct about you. Definitely. You see, there is this part in the scriptures, Christian or Judeo-Christian scriptures, that I love in Revelation. It says, he has made all things for his pleasure, and they are and were created for his pleasure. You are good. And in Genesis, it says, behold, everything that God has made, they are good. So you are a good person. You can stay in your husband's house. Don't be afraid to go into marriage if you are listening to us. Because with this journey, we are going to unveil to you, with your help, your fantastic self. Another way to think about how your core influence your behavior is to think about your life as a storyline. How far is your primary school days from now? Just yesterday. You can still remember some of the teachers, especially those that treated well. I don't remember those that treated me well. I usually remember those that treated me, bad. And that is quite unfortunate for them. And for us at this moment, we must learn to appreciate and treat children right. Quickly, let me take you through this. We are trying to beat, the time. Quickly, there are 4 beliefs, core beliefs that trigger abandonment. Forgive me, let me set this thing very well.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I'm good. Okay. 4 things that usually trigger fear of abandonment. 4 things. Thank you, Babs. The number 1 is abandonment itself. Abandonment is that consciousness or belief or core belief that is formed as the result of physical or emotional loss, a lack of emotion, support, or connection, or an unstable or unreliable environment. That usually, after you've been subjected to this reality, you come out with a pattern of consciousness, which is abandonment. And then that usually trigger the fear of abandonment. Abandonment, a consciousness of abandonment will trigger fear of abandonment. So that's simple. Now, mistrust and abuse. See, what do you expect? Do you expect a girl that was sexually molested at age 7 to trust you because you are telling her you love her immediately? You want her to feel so secured with you, inviting her to your house that, please come to my house now, come to my house. So people are dealing with this fear, and all of us need to discover, know better still, that everyone you are meeting on your way is facing a kind of, fear. Absolutely. And fear can be positive and it can be negative. The second trigger of fear of abandonment is mistrust. And, that core is formed in childhood from experiences that involve abuse, verbal, physical, or sexual betrayal, humiliation, manipulation, that usually results in mistrust. So if you're finding it difficult to trust, it has its roots. That logic, that schema is having its roots in your yesterday. If you find yourself always wanting affirmation, always asking your spouse, always asking your whoever, fiancé, girlfriend, whatever, I'm even confused. Now, whoever you are in relationship with, if you always want this affirmation that you still love me, every time you asked yesterday, you asked today, you asked tomorrow, that can be very tiring. Is because you missed something when you were a child. And this program is going to help you find yourself, your beautiful self, your secured self. And we are all going to be excited eventually. Next to that is emotional deprivation. So this happens when this happened to you, when the core believe that others will not adequately meet one's desire for a normal degree of emotional support. That is as the result of what you were denied as a child. For example, it is as minute, it's as little as a little child, a toddler falling down, and you beat that toddler each time he or she falls down. Get up, or you just neglect. You have never stand up from wherever you are to pick that toddler up. What you are doing to that child is you are forming a very, very dangerous trigger in that child. And when that trigger is up, it is going to create fear of abandonment. So emotional deprivation, a child crying and you say, keep quiet, Benson, keep quiet, all that kind of things usually, accumulate to, affect an individual negatively in the future. And under that emotional deprivation, you have deprivation of nurturance, that is being, deprived of attention, affection, warmth, or companionship, even as a child. You have deprivation of empathy, that people, I have said all this in my explanation. They don't feel your pain. You tell your parent that, oh, no, daddy, I'm feeling this pain, and nobody is concerned. Nobody is concerned. And that all they are not being concerned is forming a sediment of triggers, layers of what is going to become a major issue in the future. And then number 3 under the emotional deprivation is deprivation of protection. Now, can you imagine? Many of us grew up in this part of Africa. When you go to your parents or when somebody reports you to your parents, Yoruba parents, they easily believe outsiders than they believe you. Some parents would have beaten their children before they asked, what happened? What happened? This usually, form something, an obstacle in the future. So if you are parents, guide against all this. Let's be extremely, concerned about our children. I do not mean you should be overprotective of them, but be concerned about their pain. Now, we are talking about triggers, defectiveness, discord of belief, belief that causes people this particular defectiveness causes people to feel like they are defective, they are bad, they are unwanted, they are inferior. No matter how beautiful they are, no matter how rich they are, if somebody experienced this as a child, there is a very strong probability that that person is going to be feeling the feeling of, unworthiness as adults. If that person greets someone and that person didn't answer, is going to be a problem without knowing whether that mind is engaged with something else or not. So failure is another trigger. Defectiveness is another trigger that usually, trigger fear of abandonment. Failure is another trigger. If you were made to think as a child, to think of yourself as a failure as a child, that look at him, look at your head, you won't know it. If you keep using your children's results to judge their essence, you are missing it already. Now, if you are always afraid of failure, you're always afraid of failure to the extent that if you're on the queue, maybe this has happened to anyone listening to us. You're on the queue, queuing up to collect money from ATM. Somewhere in your mind, and you start thinking, oh, hope this money will not finish before it gets to me. Hope this money will not finish before it gets to me. And that becomes a threat. You are suffering from that particular stuff and some of these things that we've highlighted. And you need this program to help you overcome fear of abandonment. So, these are serious ones. So I think I should just step aside for Kemi because of time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, PLM.
Thank you.
These 5 core values that are negative that you mentioned are actually very true. For that abandonment core value, core belief, though it boils down, it can even be likened to, a child that probably the parents were divorced. So you living with your mother, today she brings a man home, you get attached to the man, or probably when the father dies, get attached to the man, and then you start calling the man daddy, 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 daddy. Before you know what's happening, man leaves.
Yeah.
She brings another man home again. You get attached. Before you know what happens, the man leaves again. You grew up with the mentality that men are created to live. So even when, because you have been shown love at a point and abruptly the love was taken away, just find that the person is no longer there again. Person you were always in love with just left. You automatically just grew up with that mindset that everyone you love at a point they will go. So when you now see people that actually love you, you will not want to go all out for them because you feel even if you go all out, eventually they will leave us alone. So the other one you mentioned, mistrust, this abused children. this is very, very rampant. Even this our generation is so much that you see people abused, not even only male, female now, even the male folk. The problem even with the male folk is that they don't even have the opportunity to come out and say that they were raped because you feel that it's just the female that are vulnerable to this. Even the male children self, leave them with some nannies, maids that will be at home with them, and then you see them start doing all sorts of despicable things with them. So, they have grown up to understand that those type of children, that is the way they understand love. So by the time they grow up and then they start treating women in a particular way, it's because of how they were trained while growing up. So what they understand was that mommy was always around, and Tina Kada was always around. This was the way she could express her love to me. So they're also, if they find someone that truly loves them, they will feel that the way they can express that love to that person is the way they received it when they were younger. So all these core beliefs are a lot failure. You beat your children because, or you start talking to them. Now, verbal abuse is very, very, very bad. I always say that, physical abuse can even be, is physical. People can say, who beat you? My dad beat you. Some people that are human rights activists can take it up and, okay, take the child away from the parents. But it's still verbal abuse, talking your children down, not even the parents now, even your friends. You don't celebrate them when they actually genuinely do great things. You feel that, okay, because of your own insecurity, you start talking them down because you don't want them to surpass you, you don't want them to, go beyond you. So, verbal abuse is very, very bad. It's a psychological thing. You just see yourself that, it comes down, it boils down to this defectiveness. A person that feels as though is not okay, is not enough. Check the person properly. The person has been verbally abused. They don't need to beat her. They don't need to, eat her before she gets to that point. You come home, you are in second position, and then what you get is that, TMO, where you don't even know what you are doing in school. And person starts feeling as though it's not enough. You offend your parents, you offend your friend, the next thing, you are a stupid person. See the way you look like, start talking to them about their looks. It really does a lot of damage to many people. So these are things that actually contribute to the fear of abandonment. You don't want to, you just find a way of just getting used to that type of hardship, that life that, let me just go stay with this person. No, this is the only person that can resonate with me. This is the person that can take my nonsense. This is the person that can take this. So this program is actually to help you, is to make you, know that, first of all, I would say that for everyone that is in any abusive relationship, whether verbal, whether physical relationship, and you feel that, this is the only person that can understand, that's a lie. Listen and listen properly. Absolutely. That is a lie, because, if you leave that person, you will not die. If you leave that relationship, you will not die. Whether friendship, whether relationship, whether, you will not die. So I said it earlier, any relationship that you find yourself, whether it's love relationship, whether it's friendship, whether it's that is not helping you to get to your maximum potential, that is talking you down, abusing you emotionally, abusing you verbally, and it's because you feel that this is the only person that I can stay with, my dear, you have to just run away, because that's not helping to get to the fullness of your potential. You need to know that you are, we understand that no man on an island, you cannot live alone, you cannot exist alone. But one thing is that, you cannot move forward if you keep yourself in that relationship, if you keep yourself in that association, because you don't know what you meet outside. So let me just even stay here because I don't know. I don't want them to leave me alone. I don't want them to do so. You can live without this person. I'm saying it again. You can live without that person. So please, I implore you, even whether you are married, whether it's just seek help. Before you die, before they beat you and you die, seek help. Before you just find out that you're already mentally having mental something. It's not because some people, it's not, it's because over time they have lived their lives like that, and then they now live what they hear. The stupid person, they like every time, that's what you hear all the time. Sooner or later you become a stupid person. Sooner or later you become a dumb person. Please, any type of relationship like that, please run away from it.
Absolutely. All right. In closing, do you still have things to say?
No. You can just round it up so that we can.
All right. Yeah. I want to promise you, viewers, Olu Akemi is going to take you a bit further is more time conscious than I am, and is helping me to master that aspect. Okay, in closing, let me say what I wanted to say. Oluwakem is going to take you further into what you just talked about when next we meet. And yeah, just if you've not subscribed, subscribe and like and tell someone about this. Okay, all right. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., the man I respect so much, says, I have decided to stick with love. It is too great a burden to bear. And I will leave you with this, that your everything, the way you feel. If someone asks you, how do you feel? Don't say, I don't even know. I don't know. Okay, what are you thinking about? I don't even know what I'm thinking about. Okay, but you are feeling lonely. Yeah, I'm fine, I'm fine. Okay, this is how to stop feeling lonely. Let me quickly go ahead of ourselves. Your thoughts controls everything. Your thoughts is going to become an action. And your action is going to become an habit. And your habit is going to become or form a character. And your character is going to form a destiny. You can say it all started with your thoughts. Till we see you again, please take care of your thoughts. Be in charge of your thoughts. Don't, like Oluwakemi said, please don't subscribe to any limiting thoughts. Please do not subscribe to any limiting thoughts. You are greater, you are better, you are beautiful and more beautiful. You are a champion. Don't allow anybody, whether it's your husband, whether it's your husband to be, whether it's your wife to be, whether it's your wife, regardless of your age, even you are 70, old people feel insecure. Yeah, so regardless of how old you are, we want you to take charge of your thoughts. Just control the thoughts. When the thought of fear comes and is triggering abandonment, that you are afraid of, I will be abandoned, don't allow it. Tell yourself, I'm important. I am too beautiful that nobody can walk away from me. And of course, if there are things you need to deal with those things. Again, I have decided to stick with love. It is too great a burden to bear. Thank you for staying tuned with us. Our organization remains Shining Africans Testimony Ministry. And our website, though presently down, our technical team is working vigorously on how it will come up again. The website is www.shiningafritest.org, shiningafritest.org. So you can go to our website, you will get our contacts through that. Thank you and God bless you.